Harihi Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Om Shishya Atma Samarpan Karpanya Dosho Upahata Swabhavaha Prichhami Tvam Dharma Sammuda Chetaha Yashreyasyan Nishchitam Bruhi Tanme Sishyasteham Shadhimam Tvam Prapannam. Om. So welcome to the class, and my apologies, I was a little delayed. I was on time, but my computer had restarted, so it was all getting delayed that way. Anyway, we are in the 12th Shloka, or the second Shloka of the Upadeśa. Bhagavan speaks these words, and in this Shloka, the Shloka goes like this. Natvevaham jatu nasam natvam neme janadhipaha na chaiva na bhavishyamaha sarve vayamatah param. So as it goes in the tradition, we did go a little out of the Shloka, preparing ourselves on how to learn. Basically, being able to dissect is the core for the buddhi to learn. Buddhi does only that, it dissects stuff. So if we consciously start dissecting the thing that we are hearing, trying to put them into right categories, it will generate the doubts that are required. And this will enable us to learn more effectively. So we went into those areas where we saw that, we can categorize it into four, which is phalam, the fruits of learning it, jnani lakshanam. Once you have that Atma Gyan, how or what that jnani is, what are all the core characteristics of the person. What is jnani lakshanam is our sadhana, our exercise, right? So jnani lakshanam. Then we had that which we have to prepare ourselves for, and the teaching, jnanam, and the qualification that we have to, that supports in terms of attaining those qualification to learn. Right, so these are all the four ways that we are trying to separate. It is not a rule. You can categorize it in as many number of subtopics as you want, so that you can place what you are listening in the appropriate areas. We will be concluding our analysis part and jumping into the bhashyam. Atma Swarupam, Shariri, one who has the awareness of the three bodies, one who knows the three bodies. In this shloka, what we are seeing is Atma is Nityam, that it is eternal. How is he saying it? Natu eva aham jatu nasam natvam na ime janadipaha. None of us, these kings, you or me, it is nothing like we did not exist or we came into an existence, and also post this existence, post this life form, it is not going to be that we are not going to exist. So the continuum of existence is the core that is communicated in this shloka. which we call it as Nityam, eternal. So the first of the Atma Swarup is eternal. And we will look into others as we go into subsequent shlokas. Here, we look at an important clarification, Sāṅkhya Yoga, definition of that which is whole. Right? Samyak Darshanam is what we saw as the meaning of of Sāṅkhya Yoga, or of the term Sāṅkhya. Right? The Sāṅkhya Yoga is the name of this chapter. However, we do tend to see a lot of the Sāṅkhya Darshana, the philosophy. Sāṅkhya believes in two eternal realities, Purusha and Prakriti. Vedanta teaches that everything is Brahman in Advaita philosophy. It is non-duality. Sāṅkhya follows a dualistic path, whereas Vedanta is it is basically on the single entity, monistic, that everything is Brahman. Sāṅkhya denies the existence of a concept called as Ishvara, whereas Vedanta considers Brahman as the supreme reality and Ishvara as the trinity that follows that supreme reality. And then it goes into the same Prakriti and how it is controlling and so on. The references are both goodness and evil are together honored. If something is evil, we do not reject it. We still honor it. And similarly, with goodness also, we still honor it. It is not like we cherish it. It is kept as goodness and evil. We don't change it. It is adharma that is bad. Even the evil spirits like Rakshasas or Bhutas, right? They are all considered and they are praised in our tradition. Right? The Itihasas and Puranas, you speak so much about it. Right? Ravana has been praised so much in Ramayana. Right? What we try to clarify or classify is between dharma and adharma, and see our duty to stand up to adharma and promote dharma through our living. So Brahman or Parabrahma, it's a collective and undivided oneness of both manifested and the unmanifested concepts. Right? We need to understand the term collective, I'm using it very knowingly because in the terms of how we understand, as I said, the buddhi is more tuned to dissecting stuff. And when you dissect it, there are many that you come across. And hence we use the term collective. But we qualify the term collective with the term undivided oneness, which is Advaitam. Right? So that is the one which makes you realize that the division is only in the mind, not in what is being witnessed or in the person who is witnessing it or persons who are witnessing it. Ishvara is a concept which is with Trinity. It regulates the creation, sustenance, and destructions of manifestations. So, in the world of objects, things manifest, right? They don't exist, they come into existence, and they lose their existence. This cycle is so intelligent and so intricate that we say that there has to be some supreme intelligence behind it to have such a capability. And hence, we attribute this capability of being able to create, sustain, and allow the destruction of ever-changing Prakriti is the nature, or is done by a concept called Ishvaraha. We use the term Hiranyagarbha. This is the Sukshma Amsam, the subtle aspects of creation. Right? So, though what I say, you can use Hiranyagarbha and Ishvaraha as interchangeable, the way that it is said, or the way that it is communicated in our tradition, is Ishvaraha is the Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, and Hiranyagarbha is the manifested forms, Sukshma Amsam. So there are things that are manifested, right? So before manifestation, it has to have a subtle nature. We have spoken about it. For a painter to draw a drawing, he needs to have created the drawing in his mind. And then he expresses it on a canvas, right? This drawing that he has drawn in his mind is the Sukshmamsam, the subtle aspect. And we attribute that to Hiranyagarbha. Then Virat is the Stula Amsham. This is again to emphasize that it is very large, but at the same time, it is one. The division that we see is only the mental makeup. Everything is connected. And scientifically too, we agree that everything is connected. Right? That everything put together as a whole is Virat. Then we have Devatas, the divine God, in which we see various forces that are very intelligent in nature. Okay, be it air, be it fire, right? If you take any of it, any of the aspects, you will see that there is amazing intelligence, supreme power, and yet it is kind of limited in scope. Those aspects are called as devatas, right? Indra, Vayu, Agni, right? The ocean also has its own, we have our own identification of it as a god, as a part of divinity. A tree is seen as part of a divinity. Rain is seen as a part of divinity, Varuna Bhagwan, or we can keep on going. In any aspect, we see that divinity is attributed to what we call as Devata. And each of the Devata is defined by its characteristics. This is very scientific in nature. Instead of looking at it as a god, look at it as, okay, these are all the defined properties of this aspect that I'm looking at. Right? So, in fact, if you look at the properties of fire, the extent to which it has been analyzed can be literally experienced. And that is the richness of our Vedic text. Right? So it is amazingly dealt with. After Devata, we have Upadevata. Now, this is again a sphere of experience that we have, which are not at the scale of a Devata, but which cannot be negated in terms of experience as well. So they include Gandharvas, Yaksha, Rakshasa, Kinnara, right? Then Nagas, right? Apsaras, right? Vidyadharas, Pishash, right? We use it very often, right? We even scold somebody with the name Pishash, at least in South India in Tamil. right? Bhutaha, bhutam, right? Ghost, marut, vasu, etc. Manu, and many, many more. They are kind of upadevata. Then Deva Yoni, born in the lineage of Devata. And we also have Asura Yoni, born in the lineage of Asuras. But you will find that Asuras are born for the Devas, and Devas are born within Asura as well. There are several stories that you can see. So the emphasis of these Puranic stories is to be able to see that goodness and badness, they emerge from the same source. They emerge from the same foundation. And it is not that which has emerged which is to be considered good or bad, but whatever has emerged, that which it performs, is it good or bad, is what we have to look at. Our mind should get trained to looking at the intent and action rather than at the person or the subject. This is the most important thing that we take from this aspect of everything is eternal. That eternal aspect is applicable equally to the Rakshasas as well as for Devatas, as well as for Manushya. Right? We are going to be the same. In a prakritik, in a form of an object, we will continue to decay, grow, decay, birth, be born and grow. And this cycle is eternal too. It will continue because Prakriti and Purusha both are eternal. On top of it, we have Chiranjeevis and Amaraha. Right? For example, Hanuman is considered to be a Chiranjeevi. Now, they are one who is blessed with eternal existence. Now, physical form of eternal existence, can it be scientifically proven, etc., can be definitely asked. But what we say is, in the physical form as well, these Chiranjeevis, Amara Jivan, are continuing to exist. It is the nature of all these jnanis to hide themselves. Right? That is why I can very boldly say, I'm not a jnani. I try to express myself. Right? I'm not saying this is wrong or that is bad. Nothing like that. But it is the nature of the realized soul to hide themselves, because it is not a word that is needed at that point. Right? And you continue your service to the Lord. And that is what we learn from the stories of Hanuman. So when we say, Natve vaham jatunasam, natvam na ime janadipaha, we need to put the term janadipaha as not just the kings that, or those who are standing in front of Arjuna at that point in time, which is what conversationally Lord Krishna was referring to. But for our understanding, we need to see all the divisions that our mind has established in the Prakriti, in this world. And everything that you see is a force in itself from behind. See them as part of the entire whole, and they are all subject to the same rule of being eternal. So that is the main concept that we speak when it comes to this shloka. Let us look at how Acharya has put it. And as I told you, what we speak is more words. The root of it is all coming from this bhashyam. So what Acharya says is, na Jatu eva jatu. Right? Jatu is born. Never one does go or one does become or one is born. Kadachit aham na asam. Under all circumstances. Right? It is I becoming non-existent is not there. Kintu asam eva. So he's insisting that yes, we always continue to exist. Under all circumstances, it is never that I can become non-existent. Atiteshu dehe, atitam is beyond, going beyond. Right? Atiteshu dehe, as in before having the current form, utpatti vinasheshu, the utpatti we know the created form, vinasheshu once destroyed, nityam eva aham asam, I continue to exist forever. This is the abhiprayam, this is the opinion that Bhagavan has communicated in this shloka. Going further, Acharya says, Tatha na tvam na asihi kintu asihi eva. I don't think I even need to speak of this. Right? Similarly, it is na tvam na asihi. It is not like you have not been there. You have definitely been there. Tatha na ime ganadipaha. Na asan kintu asan eva. Right? So this is one way of communicating in a bhashyam, and that is what he is trying to do. He's emphasizing this fact. If you see, the Janadhipaha has been replaced by Ganadhipaha. And this Ganadhipaha is the seed for our definition of all the entities that we were discussing earlier. Going further, tatha nacha eva na bhavishyamah kintu bhavishyama eva sarve vayam atah asmad dehe vinashat param uttarakale api trishu api kaleshu. So that is the place where he is trying to say this is in all the three time zones, past, present, and the future. Nitya Atma Swarupena iti artha. Right. So here that emphasis which has been given is to look at it beyond the factor of time. Right. So across the three time zones is what the emphasis is. Right. So he's talking about both the past and the future. Dehe bhed anuvrittaya bahuvachanam na atma bheda abhiprayena. So here is the place where Advaita Darśanam is being brought in. Deha bhede anuvritya. Right. So what is important is anuvritya, by means of conformity, is the meaning of anuvritya. Right. So the separation that has been done is only based on the body. Bahuvachanam is na atma bheda. Hence it is, oh man, I have not, abhiprayena. So I have made a mistake. I forgot to change it here. Now, this bahuvachanam is the plurality is na atma bheda, is not applicable to the Atma. Right? This is the abhipraya. This is the opinion that is established in this place. Right? We need to factor this, is what Acharya is saying. So, what did Lord Krishna do? He put it as a natvevaham jat aham, then tvam, then janadipaha. That is the way that he put it. This is called as Bahuvachanam, means speaking in plural sense, singular plural. Right? Now, this plural aspect of it is not based on the Atma, because there will be places where Bhagavan himself will clarify, as we'll look at it in the 18th Shloka, 20th, 18th chapter, 20th Shloka. Right? We will look at it next. But the thing is, Bhagavan has himself made Atma to be Ekam. So here when he is telling plural, remember it is only related to the bodies or only related to the objectified experiences. So we need to understand this opinion that Bhagavan has placed is applicable only to the physical body, which we see as several. Right? So for this, we can take the reasoning from the 20th Shloka in the 18th chapter. Sarvabhuteshu yenaikam bhavamavyayamikshate. Sarva, this is all spoken by Bhagavan. All bhuteshu, right? Of all the beings, yena ekam, one who sees the singularities, bhavam, the expression in terms of Atma, in terms of the knowledge, right? Bhavam, avyayam ikshate, right? Bhavam avyaya ikshate is bhavam avyayam ikshate, right? One who sees it from that point of view. Ikshate is seeing. Avibhaktam vibhakteshu. Very beautifully said. This is not Shankaracharya's word. This is Lord Krishna's word. Right? Bhagavan's word. Avibhaktam vibhakteshu. Though it is appearing as divided, is able to see avibhaktam, is able to see the singularity, is able to see the undivided whole. Tajnanam vidhi satvikam. That kind of knowledge, remember, is sattvic. So one cannot now say that, hey, Advaita is an imaginary expression of Shankaracharya or that tradition, Advaitic tradition. No, it is even told by Bhagavan in undeniable terms in this shloka. That is why we quote this shloka for why he has quoted this as the possible abhipraya of the Bahuvachanam, of the use of plural. Going in further. Now, after telling this, he jumps into the introduction to the 13th shloka. Tatra katham iva nitya atma iti drishtantam aha. Right? Tatra, therein, katham, how, iva, in certain manner, nitya, eternal, atma, iti is drishtantam, presence. So he is known. How is this established? Bhagavan continues to say, aha, he says. And this is the introduction he gives to the 13th shloka. Now, approach that will be taken by Bhagavan is, he defines Atma on the basis of Atma. Bhishma Pitama or Dronacharya, you don't have to have a sorrow because they are going to continue to exist. So I am going to feel sorry. I'm lamenting because Bhishma Pitama and Dronacharya are going to die. Right? The fact is, if you are looking at them as Atma, then they are not going to die. There is no point in lamenting. There is nothing to lament because Atma is eternal. And then he also looks at it and asks the question, or he is kind of, provoking Arjuna to think from that point of view, the Anatma. Anatma is subject to change at all times. Whether you like it or not, it is going to die. That which is subject to change, that which is subject to destruction at every point, there is no wisdom in lamenting. Then based on dharma, right? Okay, I understand that people die. Why should I be the cause of their killing? So here he talks from the dharma point of view. As a kshatriya, it is your dharma to fight this war. Hence, don't think that you are killing. It is you are fighting the war. Death or no death is not your problem. A kshatriya's dharma is to fight. And this will also be addressed in this chapter. And the reason for Arjuna feeling sorrow will be totally destroyed or will be totally removed. There will be no reason. And if you apply it onto yourself, you will see that even for us, the shokam, the krodam, the matsaryam means the greed, the anger, the grief. Nothing really is true, right? There is nothing like that to grieve for. So what is it that we need to do? Bhagavan will say, karma yoga. That is the place where we, in our tradition, say kshetra paripalana. We have the duty to nurture the kshetra. Why is it that I should nurture the kshetra? Because if the kshetra is not nurtured, the kshetra will die. If everyone stops speaking Tamil, Tamil will die. Everyone stops speaking Sanskrit. As you see today, Sanskrit has got very low. It is trying to survive. Thanks to all these beautiful scriptures, it is at least in this form existing. But how many can speak in Sanskrit? See all these bhashyams and the Q&As that you have seen, they are all happening in Sanskrit because it was a common language that was used during those times. But now that Sanskrit is kind of trying its best to keep itself alive. That is what we need to learn. If everyone stops singing Carnatic music is dead. So that is why we say that karma as a service to that particular kshetra, whichever you want, you can choose, is your dharma. And how you are going to do it? Paripalana. You allow an organic growth and you prevent it from attacks and you try to take care of it the way that you take care of your newborn baby. That is why the karma yoga comes into place. So with this, let us go into the shloka number 13. देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिः धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति. Right, so here Dehinosmin, Dehinaha Asmin, Dehinaha, one who is having the body. We have seen that Shariram, Shariri, Deham, Dehi. Right? So, which is Atma? Asmin, in this, Yatha, Dehe. In the place where, what is this? No, they, man, what is this? I missed to put it. Right. Dehinaha asmin yatha dehe. The deham goes through kaumaram yavvanam jara. Kaumaram is the youthfulness or the boyhood. Yavvanam is the youthfulness, yuva, and jara is old age. Now, because Yavvanam has the dhatu of yu, which is from yuj, to unite, the Yavvanam is also seen as grihastam. And Kaumaram is seen as brahmacharyam in some areas. And the Jara is vanaprastham. And the sannyasam is not even taken into consideration because you would have done your own kriya when you took sannyas. So that is one way of explanation that I have heard about. So I thought I will mention it here. Right. Now, what does the Dehi do? He witnesses this. What does he witness? The changes that the body goes through. Tatha dehantara praptihi. Tatha, similarly, dehantaraha, when the change happens wherein this body ceases to exist, right? Dhiraha tatra na muhyati. So I was telling about it earlier to say that why is it that he should not lament for the body getting killed? Atma Swarupam Nityam, so there is no point. But body is getting killed. So here what Bhagavan is very beautifully putting it is just similar to how the body goes through the experiences that you have seen, Kaumaram, Yauvanam, and Jara. Similarly, it also attains, praptihi is the word that he is using. What does he attain? Deha antam, the end of this body, right? Or Deha antara, another, right? When he takes another body. Right. This also, I have seen it in both forms. And in our tradition, dehantaram means taking on to another body is the meaning that we take. Right. So anyway, the thing is, what he is trying to emphasize is death is very similar to the changing experiences of your body. Kaumaram, Yavvanam, Jara, and death. It's all part of the changes that is inevitable. And hence, dhiraha, those who are well-versed, those who are knowledgeable, tatra na muhyati, upon that will not grieve. So that is the meaning of this shloka. But let us analyze it. Here, we in our tradition call this shloka as establishing the nirvikara swarup of Atma. Earlier we saw eternal. The second one is nirvikaram. Unlike the body which goes through Kaumaram, Yavvanam, and Jara, the Atma does not undergo any change at all. That is the emphasis that we put on this shloka. Now, Atma is seen as Drik, that which sees, that which knows. And Anatma is seen as Drishyam, that which is known, the object, that which is seen. So that is the means by which we will be looking into this shloka. This is called as Drik Drishya Vivekaha. Right? And there are various books and discussions on this topic itself. It is such a beautiful one. Now, what is Sukshma? Right. Now, law of nature is that which has manifested will always express itself. But that which is subtle naturally expresses itself by reflecting or expressing itself through some or the other means. Okay? I'll put it this way. I'm sad. As soon as you see me, hey, what's up? Looking sad. I didn't say anything, but the sorrow in me got reflected. Even if in case I was laughing, right? You can see that sorrow. And that to those who are very intimate, they can see it even more clearly. Right? That is the core concept. For convenience, I'm telling it, to say that the sorrow which is inside my heart is subtle in nature. The physical body that you are seeing is physical. The sorrow will automatically manifest in this. So a subtle will try to express itself through other means. This is the core concept that we would like to keep in mind. But the way that we say, in traditional teaching is everything that you see as physical also has a subtle reflected or subtle expressed through that. For example, if you take the space carries the sound. And today we know it. Even scientifically, it is proven, right? So the space carries that particular sound. Right? That space reflects as a private space in every object. Space is subtle, and we know that it is reflecting in every place where there is a space. Right? In a gada, in a pot, there is space. I take the pot and move it a couple of feet away. Is the space moving? No. The space is still there. Only the boundaries have shifted. It has the same space, but not the same space. We can put it there in that particular way also. I'll put it this way. If I'm able to dissect the space, I'm taking the pot and putting it aside. The dissected space of this is not in this. There is a new kind of a space which was already there. Right? So this, if you look at it from that point of view, the space is not moving. But if you look at it as your experience, the space is seen as moving too. The idea is to understand that the sukshmam, the subtlety, always expresses, is seen or is recognized through the indirect means. Right? Light has got no visibility. Right? So if I'm in the space and I'm just seeing the sun, all around me, it is darkness. Only in the place where there is an object and the light reflects that object can you see the presence of light. So light expresses itself through revealing other objects. Water through wetness and moisture. The one that you see is not just the water, but the water is there everywhere. Like recently somebody told me, or somebody sent a WhatsApp message saying that there is some machine that Israel has created which creates water from the air. Right? It means it is there. It is expressing itself through that wetness, through that moisture. And similarly, earth, it has in the gross form. Right? That which can be witnessed going through a constant change. We can see it, but we also see earth as one. So this is the nature of subtle object. Atma is even more subtle. So we need to look at it from that point of view. The quality of reflection depends upon the nature of the object that it is reflecting upon. Right? So you know that there are places where you can hear the echo. It is reflecting back. There are places where you cannot hear the echo. Right? There, that reflection is not seen. It is that reflection, quality of reflection depends upon the nature of the object. For example, if it is black, it absorbs the light. If it is white, it reflects it back. Right? So you have better visibility. If it is a mirror, then it reflects the light better. If it is a rock, it does not. So the capacity of something to reflect the subtle aspect contained in it will change based on the type of the object. Right? So this is again the most important thing for us to understand. Right? We sometimes even say, hey, this guy is a total stupid idiot and all those stuff, foolish. Right? It is just that he has the same intelligence as you. It is just that the body is not able to express it as much, but he carries the same intelligence. Just because it doesn't express doesn't make somebody not intelligent. Right? This is the realization that we need to have. Atma, which is the enabler of all such knowledge, all such capabilities, is the same in all. How it gets reflected depends upon the object it is reflecting, and that object is dependent on what is the change that it is currently undergoing. That is why the most intelligent persons also make the mistake, because the object has changed where it is reflecting. And then they can come back to, that is again another change. That object continues to change, and based on what that object is, the reflection expresses itself with that intensity that the object supports. I hope it makes sense in terms of where we are going towards. Atma is nirvikaraha, and it expresses itself. And why is there the taratamyam in the expression of the Atma, which is supposed to be nirvikaraha, without any change, is because of where it is reflecting. Right? And I'm sure, with very intelligent people, it can be very easily said, which you are all, which can be very easily said, like it depends on where it is reflecting, and hence you are experiencing the vikaram and assuming that the vikaram is of the Atma, which is not correct. It is nirvikaraha, but the experience of the expression is depending on the object it is experiencing in. Right? So it is a very simple, easy way to communicate. But as I said, the idea is to put it as deep as possible. The idea is not to put Gita or the concepts of Gita in you, but the concepts that you are aware of to manifest and come out. So it is like watering the plant, and that is what we do in our tradition of classes. Going into the next slide. Now, Atma. Let us talk about it from the Atma point of view, how it reflects. Now, because Atma is subtle, it is also equally applicable to Atma. How it reflects, right? In fact, Atma is considered to be Ati Sukshmam. We were talking of Sukshmam, which is subtle. This one is extremely subtle. Now, Atma Swarupam is Sad, Chit, and Anantam. We can do a logical analysis to come to this conclusion, but for now, let us take it as the Vedic declaration, and Satchidananda Swarupam is the Atma. Right? Now, this Anantam, there are some schools which will put it as Anandam, which is the happiness, the quotient of bliss. Right? And it is considered to be one of the quotient inside which the Atma is. Right, in the Pancha Kosha Vivekam, we will go into Annamaya Kosham, Pranamaya Kosham, Manomaya Kosham, Vijnanamaya Kosham, and Anandamaya Kosham. So that Anandam is attributed as the property of the Atma. There are some schools which do it. And it is not that it is wrong. It is absolutely true. But Anandam is again a Chaitanya Amsam in our school. We don't see it to be separate. Instead, we use it as Anantam, which is the eternal aspect of it. Now, there is an important differentiation that one must do while understanding this. Atma is not an object expressing existence or Chaitanyam, the conscious principle, the intelligence, or the eternal aspect of it, Anantam. So it is not like there is Atma and the property of the Atma is this. There is phone, the property is this is blue in color, this is black in color, blah, blah, blah. It is not like that. It is not Atma has these properties. Atma is a word that represents these aspects: that existence, Chaitanyam, and eternal aspect, that which exists for eternity. That aspect is called as Atma. Atma is not this, but this which you can experience is Atma. To this, we give the example of sugar. Right? It is not that there is something called sugar which expresses a property called sweetness. Sugar is sweet. I hope it makes sense. Right? It is not like sugar is an object and it is expressing the property of sweetness, which means if the sweetness is removed, this object is still existing. Right? So that is not what sugar is. Sugar is sweet. That is the way that one must look at. This is considered to be an important classification to understand the difference between the subject and the object. Atma is the subject, but anything that is known is object. This is a limitation in teaching. So allow for the spark to come into you. But remember, the subject, the moment it is known, becomes an object. So subject is that sweetness that we were talking about. Right? But the moment you see the granular aspect of the sugar, it has been objectified. Then it is not the sugar. It is it's a granular sugar particle, sugar cube. That's about it. It is not sugar. Sugar is sweet. Atma is this. The moment you see Atma is this, then you are going in the wrong path. Atma is. I should not have said this earlier. Atma. It's the self, it's the subject, not anything that is expressed, which is an object. And we will have to express it. But for you, the journey is converting this object to realizing the subject. Atma Swarupam. Atma is the basis for our existence in any form. Anything that you see as a form, even the thought, right? The subtle, the causal, the gross, anything you take, right? That is Atma. Let us take the example of a candle. If a candle is lit in a room, can you prevent the spread of the light? The answer is no. But yes, you can impede and you can prevent the spread of the light naturally by blocking it. But you cannot prevent the spread of the light. Atma is therefore even quoted as something like a light. You cannot prevent the spread of the light, but you can impede and bring down the glorious aspect of the greatness of its shine, right? By limiting it into your body. By removing it from your body and realizing that is what I am, and body is just an instrument that is under my responsibility or is my responsibility right now. I just let the body live and support it so long as it is trying to exist. And when the body is not able to exist, it will go. It will go into something else, some other form. And I will continue to support it in that form. That Atma will continue to support it in that form. Not my Atma versus your Atma, the singular Atma. That is the way that we try to learn about this shloka. Witness or the continuum has been established in this shloka by differentiating between Dehi and Deham. The body and the subject in it is this. To be able to understand, experience, and realize this Atma in us. as us. Sorry, I went a couple of minutes over. I wanted to finish the slide before I close the class, and we will continue this deep analysis in our next class. Harihi Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnad Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat.